All right. So, I hope we all had a very great weekend. And then, let me just fix this. All right, let's go. So, how many people do we have on the call now? 14. I think it's a great number to get started with. So, I believe we all attempted the assignments, and then we tried a whole lot of stuff. So just indicate if you did all of that so that we'll know. And then for those of you that made it to the top 20, congratulations. And then those of you that didn't make it to top 20, do well to make it next time. So you have every week as your chance to do so. And then if you are in the top 20, do well not to go down from the leaderboard. So we want it to be very competitive so that we have great guys at the end of the day. So like we keep saying, our plan is to make you guys world-class devs. And then the only way that can be possible is through your consistency. So I will urge those of you on the leaderboard to not go down from the leaderboard. And those of you who are not on the leaderboard yet, to try as much as possible to make it to the top. So that next time we won't have anything like top 20, we'll be having top 50 or top 100 because everyone can be a winner here. All right, so last week we started discussing about CSS, and then we explained a few CSS properties. We talked about what CSS is and what it helps us do, etc. And then we tried building a very simple basic form with HTML and CSS. And we saw how some CSS properties can help us style it. We also talked about selectors and a lot of stuff, right? And then we all went home with the assignment to design the previous recipe websites that we have, which I believe most of you did. So today we are going to go into more CSS properties because there are not just little of them. We have plenty CSS properties. And then we'll also try to build a website today, a much more structured website that looks better than the last one. And then just learn more CSS properties for now. So I will advise you guys to always move ahead of the class because next week we're planning to introduce you to frameworks, that is CSS frameworks, because you don't tend to do like most of the things from scratch when you are building complex applications, right? You make use of frameworks whereby somebody has done most of the complexity for you, and then you just have to learn or just have to do a little to achieve a lot. So we are going to be learning Tailwind CSS from next week. For those of you that don't know, you can try to reach out to it and then make sure you get your CSS skills much more stronger. So let's proceed. Today we are going to talk about more advanced concepts. Okay, so before I start for today, I would like to take questions. So we were live at the dev session, but I had network issues, so I wasn't available in time to attend to most of your questions, right? But if you have questions regarding what we did last week, this is the best time for me to answer it. In case some of you are shy to come into my DM. So I think I can answer you here in class. So I'm giving just 2 minutes for that. So if there's no question, I proceed. Rufai, what's up?
Yeah. Good morning, sir, and good morning, all.
Good morning, Rufai.
Yeah. How was your night, sir?
Awesome.
So, based on the last assignment you gave us, so I want you to please enlighten us more on ArcMD and also what it does. Then writing an article. Also, like Maybe you just explain a little.
Oh, nice, 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 nice. Oh, okay. So let me try to treat this as fast as possible. So we all know what articles are. If you don't, I will advise you just open your dictionary and search for the word articles, or go on Google and search, or ask ChatGPT. But articles help out to document your learning. Not just that, but also to help others who are also going to be starting out within their tech journey to also learn from what you've learned before. So articles are basically content that can help others to learn from it, right? And then we as developers, we most of the times we find ourselves writing articles because you find yourself solving problems that people haven't solved before or people haven't documented before, right? So the reason why you are asked to write articles is simply so that you can document your journey and easily you can help out somebody who is just starting out with his career, right? And not just his career. Articles is going to help you out as a developer, and then it says a lot about you because it's one thing for you to learn, and then it's another thing for you to be able to teach others, and then to be able to transfer the knowledge from one person to another. So HackMD is a tool that helps you write articles, right? So that's the work of HackMD. So I think we just let me share my screen. So I, for one, I consider writing articles very boring. So I don't do much of that, to be honest with you. But I write articles and then I can also help you out, right? So I think I have a HackMD account, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay, so these are some little articles I've written. As you can see, they are nothing serious, right? I wrote this one to document my journey. This is when I was learning blockchain development, I think about 10 months ago. And then this is where I was getting started with the Starknet ecosystem. And then some of this has to do with some of my assignments, etc. Right? So let me just show you one as an example. All right. So this is me where I'm just writing my week one review. I'm just writing a review of a Cairo cohort that I joined, and then trying to state a few things that I've learned, right? And then HackMD work in two ways. So first of all, let me just go back and then start a new one. So let's go to a new note. So when you want to write on HackMD, it's quite easy. So this is where you write all the markdown, and then this is where it shows you the preview, right? So there are different ways to do it, and then you can use most of these tools at the top, just like how your HTML elements are. That's how HackMD have some elements that can help you with writing. But this time around, it's not to build markups for websites, right? But this time to build markups for writing. So you can choose to maybe pick header for the headers, and then you can see this H tag. So I can say, this is my header. So as you can see, I'm getting a preview over here, right? So I can also choose to go down and then write, this is my first article. So the idea for you is just to use this tool to help you write and then structure your writing properly. But while doing this, like you need to know like a couple of stuff. I will advise you navigate between all of this to understand what they do. If you have worked with Microsoft Word, it's not much it doesn't have much more difference, right? Though there's a lot of difference, but this one only abstract what you need in writing articles. So maybe after writing up, you want to explain a little about your code, you can just do it here, and then this is your code, and then I can choose to write a H1 or H2, and then say, so maybe you want to document what you've been learning, and then you want to show some of your code to the people who are going to be reading your article. You can just use this tag. Probably you want to code something. So it depends. I would urge you guys to just learn all of these stuff, right? Maybe you want to put a picture, you just click on this, and then it asks you to select a picture. So I can select a picture, and then though this is not responding, but let's say, okay, nice. So the picture is opening. So you can see how it works, right? It's just for you to learn these different stuff and then write them here. And then at the end of the day, all you can just choose to do is then share your article. Then you choose how you want to share it. You copy the link and then submit for your assignment, or you copy the link and give to your friends who want to learn software development, or you copy the link, post on your Twitter, and just tell us how your journey has been going so far. And if there are other people that wish to learn, to also come on board with you, right? So that's just basically how HackMD can help us to write articles. So it's a very smooth and easy tool to use. So I will advise you guys to make use of articles, HackMD, right? So is there any more problem? I think I took over 7 minutes to explain this. Okay, so let's just head over to the class, because at some point, Divine will be taking over because I have another meeting to join in by 11:30. So from then, Divine will take over and then take you guys to the end of the class. So for now, the short period of time I have, let's get to work. So my screen is already shared, and then I'll go to the usual location, which is Web3 schools or W3 schools. Oh my God. Okay. And then this time around today, I want us to start from floats. Yep, because I think that's where we stopped the last time. Yep. So I'm very sure most of you have been learning more properties. So if you have more CSS properties you've learned, I just want to see if you learned, like I know I told you in the last class to learn other CSS properties aside what we've learned in class. So if you know you have CSS properties that you came across while building or while learning within the week, you can just signify so that I will know that, yeah, we are together. Nice. And then if you've tried out floats, awesome. Nice, nice. So we have like a good number of people, right? So it means you guys are learning. And then if you haven't set up VS Code, please do well to raise up your hands again so that I will know. Because we are planning on taking you guys a special session on Git and GitHub, whereby you can be able to push your code as promised, right? So Zion, Abdul Rashid, what's happening? Why have you guys not set up VS Code yet? You can just put it in the chat. So I will advise, since you haven't, do well to reach out to me or reach out to other of your colleagues to show you how to set up VS Code. That's the idea, right? So immediately after the class, make sure you reach out to your colleagues because it's very essential. And I want you guys to already start using this stuff. If not, from next class, you are not going to be able to keep up. So make sure you have VS Code running and then you are writing your codes in VS Code before the next class. All right, so you can all bring down your hands now. Okay, so what are floats? So CSS layouts. So float helps in layouts, right? CSS layout, float, and clear. The CSS float property specify how an element should float. The CSS clear property specify that an element can float beside the cleared elements and on which side. All right. So the float property. The float property is used for positioning and formatting content, e.g., let an image float left to the text in a container. The float property can have one of the following values, either left, right, none, default, or inherit. Right. So while talking about the concept of inheritance, I started giving you an example about that, and then I told you guys in the last class there is parent and child elements, right? Whereby the child element is lives inside the parent, and then the child can inherit properties of the parent, but then the parents cannot inherit properties from the child. Just like how you can inherit a car from your father, right? But your father can inherit a car from you. All right. So we'll try our floats. So this CSS floats, and then this is how it works. So you just declare it with the property name float, and then you give it a value of either left, right, none, or inherit, and then clear. So the clear property specify what should happen with the element that is next to a floating element. So if you have an element that is next to another floating one, you can be able to give it the clear property, right? You can have the values either none, left, right, both, or inherit. So we're also going to try this out. Okay, so you see what it looks like. You see a property without the clear. You see this one with it. Okay. So float examples. So this page contains common float examples. So these are examples of floats whereby you have different boxes or different divs, and then they are all positioned properly using floats. And then a float element, you can specify a width for it because it's going to be sharing size. So if you are wondering how images are being aligned in a website, one of the ways is using floats. So you see how you can get images side by side. Maybe you go to Jumia website, and then you are trying to access stuff like you are trying to buy maybe a mobile phone, and then you go to the list, and then you see a bunch of images of mobile phones arranged side by side. So you know that is not rocket science. They made use of floats. But there are so many ways to achieve that, but flows is just one of the ways, right? So with floats, you can achieve equal height boxes. Uh, you can give it a height. And then from there, we'll jump to flexbox. So flexbox is just like a better way of arranging our elements. But for now, let's check inline blocks. Okay, so another CSS layout. So mostly today we are going to most of the things about floats and the rest we'll be talking today are what concerns layout. How does the layout of our website look? How do we lay it out at the end of the day, right? Because that's the work of CSS. Just like how I told you. So the house have already been built. So our problem now is how do we arrange it? How do we arrange the sitting room? Where do we keep our television? Where do we keep our couch? Where do we keep what now? Where do we keep our bed? Where do we keep our fridge, etc. So that's like the work of the CFS layout. It's just like to arrange where each and everything is gonna be, right? So there are different ways, and then you can use this display property to determine how you want a particular layout to be. So if you want it to be inline block, you can specify that value. You want it to be block elements. So you know how blocks look like, right? They are in order, stacking of each other. I explained that the last time, where I told you there are inline elements and then there are block elements, right? So inline elements are elements that by default they are arranged in line. And then we'll give you examples of such, where we saw labels, etc. And then we'll talk about block elements, whereby by default they are arranged stacked on one another. So we talked about most of them. Okay. So today we'll be doing a lot of layout and a lot of styling to see how it's going to look like, right? So we can also check the align. So with this align, we can also align can also do much work for the layouts. We can either align our elements either horizontally or vertically. Yeah, so many ways. This is how to align a text to center. So on default, if we write down a text, you are going to see it at the left hand side, right? But if we align it to center, you get it at the center of the container where it is contained, or you can align it to the right, etc. So, but this in this case, this is aligned to the center, right? So we can also center an image by giving it what now? So this is how to do this. They gave it a display of block, and then they gave it a margin left and right of auto. So if you give a margin left and right of auto, it's going to come to the middle, right? Because you are telling it take automatic space from the right, take automatic space from the left, and then just place the content original size at the middle, right? So this time around, they gave it a width of 40, so which automatically means that uh, the left-hand side is taking 20, the left-hand side is taking 30%, the remaining right-hand side is taking 30%. So 30 plus 30 is 60, and then plus 40, that makes it 100. So if you don't like mathematics, I'm very sorry, but welcome back to mathematics, right? In programming, you do a lot of maths, and then a lot of people ask themselves, what does math have to do with styling a website or arranging it? But the truth is building, like I told you, building a website is the same thing as building a house. And when building a house, you have to do a lot of calculations, right? So let's keep going. So this is where an element is based on its position, it is placed at absolute. You can align it maybe to the left or right using position, right? So we can also use position to know how to align our elements. So all these, we are going to try them out, give it vertical padding, and then combinators, right? All right. So this is just like a high level overview of what we're going to be going through today. So with that, let's start from the beginning, right? So let's go back to floats or inline blocks, right? So okay, so let me just navigate back to here, and then uh, so now I don't know what we're using the last time. Okay, I think we're working in desktop. Okay, first work. Yo, so for those of you who are wondering how I'm doing this, it's not magic. It's just it's just learning how to use the CLI to be able to make commands or write commands, and then it's going to prompt out or do some certain things in your computer. Okay, so if you can remember this page, so let me just go live so that you see it, right? So how many of us can remember this page? Let me see your hands. Be sure that you guys have been joining the class. Okay, so virtually everybody remembers, right? Awesome. So let's just go back to it and then continue the work we're doing. So in the last class, we're trying to design a HTML form, and then we just designed the structure and then did a little bit of beautification to it, right? But today we are going to lay this out properly, and then we are going to determine how it's going to look like much more better and much more prettier, right? So the first thing I want to do is to get like virtually everything to the center, and then get this to the center, also align this properly to look like a very beautiful form, and then we'll go around. So using floats and other properties, we are going to do this, right? Okay, so first and foremost, let's start from this tech community. So I want this text to be in the middle, right? So what property can we use? I think we went across this the last time. I think align, right? Yeah, good. So this is where a text is being aligned to the center, right? So let's see how this is going to work. So let's go back to our code and then try to write it down. So where is FiTech community? FiTech community is here, the nav bar. Okay. So let's go to styles and check out nav bar. Did we design the nav the last time? Nope, we didn't. So what do? Let's say nav. And then let's say text align. And then let's check this out. Nice. So simply because FiTech community and this logo are in the same div, it took everything to the center, right? So you see how text align works. It takes everything from the default, which was the left-hand side, and then brings it to the center. And then you see we have equal space with here and here, right? So let's go back. So this time around, what are we going to work with? Where is the form? So let's check our index. So this is the form, and then we named it contact form, right? So if I go to the style and then I check out contact form. So contact form, the last time I gave it a width of 50%. And then what's going to happen now is that I want to set the margin to the middle so that we can have everything right at the middle, right? So what will happen is I'm going to use the margin auto here. So let's set the margin to auto and see if this is gonna work. Awesome. Wow. So I explained the concept for you a few minutes ago, and then I told you if you specify a size for a particular element, and then you place its margin to the auto, automatically it's going to go to the middle because it means we gave this a width of 50%. That means we're telling it take 50% of the page. And then at the end of the day, we are saying, okay, we want your margin to be open. So on default, what is happening here is that it checks and say, okay, I'm 50%, and then the whole parent is 100%. So how do we set the margin auto? So remember, I told you how margins work. Margins are the space outside the element. The space inside the element is the padding. The space outside the element is the margin. So by me setting the margin to auto, automatically, since this is 50%, the whole size of this is 50. This part, the left part is going to take 25, while the other part takes 25 to complete the remaining 100, right? So you see our contact form is getting a little bit better. Well, so now let's try to change the size. Now notice the size, right? So let's try to make this, let's say 40, because it looks too wide for me. So let's make contact form 40%. So can you see? Contact form is much more smaller. And then this time around, both ends are taking 30%, 30% to make it, plus this 40 to make it a complete 100%, right? So let's keep styling. So the form is looking ugly. So let's make it better. And then let's go into the index file. Good. And then all these elements, what's going to happen is that I want to align them to the center. So let me try to do this. So I go to contact form, and then I say align items center. So I'm aligning all the items inside of contact form to the center. So, okay. I think this should be aligned content there. Oh, wow. Does this need, okay. Coming. Okay, so I just scattered like the whole stuff, right? So let's not get to flex yet, and then let's leave a line out of this. And then I think this is giving us issues simply because we didn't structure the layout of our index properly. So I think we have to make all of this form much more better, right? So what's going to happen is that this form box, let's give it a color, and then let's see the total size that this form box is taking, and that will determine what it's going to look like. So let's go to form box and then give it a background color of red. I just want to see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the complete size that the form box is taking. So that's why it's not aligning everything to the center, simply because everything is taking the complete width of the page, of this parent element. So there's no need for it to go to the center. But if we want this to go to the center, the only way we can do this is maybe we shorten the height and then tell it to go to the center, or give it a margin to the center, right? But the best thing to do now is to edit this input field. So let's take this back to white, or let's not just give it a color at all, since the parent is white, so automatically it's going to be white. But what will happen is I want to set a border. This. So I told you guys how to set a border the last time, right? So to set a border, I can choose what size I want the border to be. So I want this to be 2px, and then what color I want the border to be. So let's say gray. I want my border to be gray. Okay. So let's go 2px. Okay. Okay. So why is this not responding? So
Sorry,
so
I
you know
think
what? Yeah.
I think you should use border radius.
Border radius is just to determine how the border radius is going to be. We have already set the border, and then the radius is maybe how do we want the edges to look like, right? So let's check out the CSS property.
Sorry, sir, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
You make use of margin 2 pixels solid, then the color.
Awesome. This guy's been studying. So we use border 2px solid. So you see, I myself haven't done CSS for a while, right? So I can't tell to remember most of this stuff. But the best thing as a developer is that your brain is not a memory card, or your brain is not a flash drive where you store things inside, right? The idea is for you to understand the concept, and then when you want to implement it, feel free to always go back to the documentation or go back to Google and then try to do it out. So this is gonna work. Nice. So let's put our hands together for him. This shows me that you guys are learning, and then I'm very happy, right? Awesome. All right. So the next thing is that I want to add a padding in this, and then I just want this padding to be 2px. So I want 2px on all angles so that it will make this better. Nice, but 2px is still ugly. So how do we set the padding again? All right, so 10px is better, right? And then this is too solid, so I just want to make this 1. Nice. Can you see how our form is coming out? Awesome, right? So I also don't want this to look. So there are different type of border, right? So this border can either be solid or give me the rest. Is it dotted? Yeah, dotted. And then can you see this time around it looks like a dot, right? And then this can also be double. Yep. Or is it double dotted? Okay.
Yes. Double and double dotted.
Double and double dotted. So what's going to happen is I like that dotted, so I'm going to make it dotted. So let's check more about borders. So I'm very happy that you guys are contributing, right? So while we are trying to work this page, we are going to be doing it together. So anything at all, do well to give me your inputs. If there's a better way you want it to look like, so let's keep trying these properties and make it look better, right? Awesome. So can you see how our form is looking now? A little bit much more professional, right? And then we can use this for FiTech community. So now what I want us to edit properly is the input box, because this input box it looks very ugly to me. So I want the input box to take the remaining size here. And then even though it's just 2, it should take this remaining size. And then we'll keep working, right? And then we'll take this login button to the middle, and then add some border radius to make this look a little bit round and much more better. Anyhow, to make it more clear, right? So let's get to work. So let's check out this form. All I just have to do now is I want to arrange this input box. So let's pick inputs. And then the input, there are plenty inputs, so it's not like all of them that we want to style. But let's try to style the general input and see. So inputs, and then we'll give it width of let's give it 100%. See, awesome. So input take a width of 100% more than this. So that's why it is overlying down to the bottom, because it took 100%. But this still look prettier, except we don't like this, and I want to edit this to look better. So, but I think I still like this. But we can also choose to reduce it. Maybe let's say 75%. So can you see it's taking this, or we can choose to say auto. So auto still maintains that, but I think I like let's use 100%. I like the way it is at 100 also, so that everybody has enough space to write his inputs, right? So we also go back to the form, or to the form box. So this is the form box, and then try to edit it. So we can give it a gap. Let's say 5px. I see. Okay. So let's improve the size of this. How do we make this much more bigger? Will padding do this? Padding. Yeah, so yeah, I think padding did it. But it's just that it is overlaying this because it's taking more space on the inside. Right? So we can just edit this and maybe let's say 90 or 95. And yeah, this is much more better, right? So let's put a placeholder in this. So we can just say when a user comes, so let's just go back. This is going to be HTML, and then let's add more elements in here. So let's say placeholder. So I told you guys about this attribute the last time. We didn't just use it. So enter your name, and then in the email we say placeholder, enter your email. Awesome. So can you see now this looks much more better and much more presentable to a user. When a user is coming to our platform, it's going to be easy. He comes, he inserts his name, inserts his email, inserts this, maybe let's say his date of birth, and then he can choose a profile picture, right? Then we can just pick one profile picture, open, and then this is uploaded, and then we can send it to the form, right? So how does this look? Doesn't this look better? So finally, let's just try to fix this button. Maybe take it to the middle, and then we try to do all that stuff. So where is this button? So this is it. So to style this, I'm going to give this an form button. I've already given it an ID, so I can be able to style it. So I just go back here to form button, and then I tell it margin. Now I don't know which of the margins to use. So let's just use this margin and call it. Let's see if it's gonna come to the middle. Oh no, it didn't. All right. So let's try to fix this now.
So we can use margin left, and let's give it maybe 300 or 200 pixels and see. Right.
Oh, okay. So let's use margin left. So margin left is basically going to shift it to the left, right? So we're adding much more margin here, but let's try something out. Why don't we use a line? Would this work? No. So we can just use the margin left. Great suggestion. We don't know the total size. Let's say since the width is 30%, it actually means the whole container has remaining 70%. So let's say margin left 35%. And then let's have a look. Awesome. So like I told you guys, at the end of the day, this is mathematics too. They are still doing a little bit of mathematics. So for me to effectively put this at the center, I realized that since this button is taking 30%, as you can see, the width is 30%. And then the remaining container here is 100. From here to here is 100%. But here is just 30% of the 100 that this is taking. Meaning there's still a remaining 70% space around it. So if I want this in the middle, all I just have to do is divide 70 by 2 and then give it a margin left and then say margin left at 5%. And then it is right at the middle. So I'll pause here for questions since we have arranged this form properly, and then we'll keep going. All right, so questions. Hit me, guys. Obasan John. Okay, no questions, right? So this simply means I can proceed. Awesome. All right. So, okay, someone is coming up with a question. Whose hand is up, please?
Oh, good morning, sir.
Yeah, Isa, how you doing?
Fine, sir. I see I'm from evening class. Can I still sign the attendance? Attendance of the morning class.
The morning class. Have the attendance link been sent?
No, I didn't sign the attendance yet.
You didn't
Yeah,
what?
you can proceed. You can proceed. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. So attendance will be sent when the sub mentor is here. So I don't think sub mentor is here yet.
Thank you.
Right. So no any more questions? Am I free to proceed?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
All right. So this time around, let's try to fix the about us page, right? Let's try to make it better. Let's see how the about us page is going to look like. So let's try to use flow. I mistakenly left the call, so I'm just going back to sharing my screen again. Okay, so now what's going to happen is I want to link this page to another page, right? So that I can be able to start the About Us page, and then from this page we can go to the About Us page. So what's going to happen is I just go back to the HTML for those of us that have used links, and then under this form I want to add a link, an anchor tag, which is a link, and then I'll say go to About Us page. And then the last time I talked about absolute and relative URLs. So this time around, About Us is within our website. So what type of URL is that? No answers.
Local URL, if there is something like that.
No. I told you there are only two types, absolute and relative. One of them is for external access to ones that are online. And then the other one is for, yes, local within our web page. So which of them is local and then which of them is external that is done within our website? Fatima, absolute. Is that correct?
I think it should be relative.
It should be nice. Fatima, it's
Relative, sir.
nice. Okay, everybody say relative. So how many people are for relative? Let me see your hands up. So I will do the consensus now. You have to pick one. And then don't Google search. I will know.
The question again, please. The question again.
So I told you guys there are two different types of URLs, right? Absolute and relative. And then this time around, I'm trying to add a new page to our website, whereby from our page, from our home page, you can be able to click to that button and go to the About page. And then the About page is within our website. So what type of URL is it? Is it an absolute or a relative URL? Now, if you are for absolute, let me see your hands up. I have 24 people on this call, so I'm expecting to see 12 people on, or 24 complete answers. You cannot be in the middle. You can't stand in the fence. You are either for Tinubu or for Peter Obi. Okay, so we have 4 people that say it's for absolute, right? All right, so let's check out. How about relative? If it's for relative, your hands up. Wow, we have more people here. Some people are dropping down their hands. Okay, 10 people. That means not everybody has answered. Somebody is in the valley of decision. He's raising his hand and dropping it. All right, so the consensus has not reached because some people have the voters card, but they refuse to come and vote, right? Those are the people that we regard as Nigerian problem. Okay, so so I won't give you the answer. I would ask, we'll go direct and ask the person himself. I think we studied this the last time. Where is it? Okay, no, it should be in HTML.
Yes, it's HTML, sir.
So which side can I find it? Because I don't know.
HTML links.
HTML link.
From the first week of classes.
So you see, it makes sense. It shows that some people are learning, right? So I say hyperlinks. So I can't find it here. Good. So absolute URL versus relative URLs. Awesome. So For those of you that said absolute, you are very, very wrong. For those of you that say relative, congratulations, you are the winners of today's polls. So relative won, right? Absolute lost. So absolutes are not within our website. Relative is within our website. Awesome. Okay. So let's go back to this. So I can't see your reactions. We have learned today, right? So the majority had the votes. About 11 people chose relative, right? So that makes sense. Now, Godfrey's hand is still up, so we don't know where he stands. Are you the INEC chairman? Okay. So the relative have it, right? So let's fix this here. So all I just have to do is click this about us and then copy the part. So copy relative part. You see, they even told you here, relative part. So I click on copy, go back to HTML, and then paste it inside of this href part. Just paste. And then from here, we can successfully go to About Us page. So if I go to my website, and then this is the link that I say goes to About Us, I click it, take me to About Us page, right? So welcome to About Us. So now we are going to design About Us page to tell us more about PyTech community, about the amazing students in PyTech community, the great things they are doing, what they are learning, how you can join PyTech, etc. Right? So let's get down to styling. So I don't know, should we use the same styles for the same CSS file for home and about us, or should we change it? Should we use a new one for about us? Suggest, Ufai, what do you think?
Let's use a new one so that we can learn more. No.
Okay. All right, so let's just use a new one so that because of separation of concerns too, we can be able to separate the styles between home and about us. So there's one last thing I would love to do here, which is in the about us page. I would like to add another href that sends us back to the home page. So I'll just add an anchor tag and then I say go back to home. So I'm going to copy the relative part to this, and then come here to the href and then paste it, right? So if I'm here, I can click go back to home, it takes me back here, and then I can click go to about us page, and then it takes me here. So you see. All right, so let's add a new link. So one more thing I want you to know is that you can link multiple CSS files to a single HTML. So notice I've already linked this CSS, this old CSS here to this one. And that's why I'm getting some stylings here. So, and I don't want to change that. So I will try to create a new CSS file. And then this time around, I'll call it about us.css, right? And then, so I'm going to link it here. So there's one link here, and then I can also link another here. And then I'll copy relative part to about us. So I'm using this copy relative part in case you are not familiar with Firecat, because like I told you, you are going to be working with multiple folders. Okay, so I did a mistake. I went and I was writing this in HTML index. So let's cut it and then take it back to about us. Nice. So let's see how we can link two CSS sheets to one. So copy about us. And then let's paste it. Good. So now we have multiple styles, right? And then the first thing I want to do is I want to separate this properly. Now I want to do the layout. properly now. So let's see how it works. Yo, whose hands up? Profile, what's up?
Sir, sorry, I want to ask a question. Instead of just copying the relative part, why not just input about us CSS?
Yeah, so about us CSS is going to work. About us CSS is actually the relative part. So if you come here, you see about us CSS is there. But why I'm teaching you how to copy the relative part is simply because you have to understand file paths, because you are going to be working with a lot of folders. So let me show you a simple example of a folder, right? So of a project that has plenty folders in it. I think I have one open. Good. So like this. So can you see like how many folders I have opened? And then this is not just like your bare settings. So you have to understand how they work. And then I can be able to carry a setup from this file and then import it to another file. So the relative part is going to help me do that like easily, right? But subsequently, we will learn more about file paths and understand how they operate. But before you are correct, you can just put about us.css there. It's going to work. Awesome. Can I proceed? All right. So now let's fix this properly. So I want to have a div here. And then I'm going to have two divs inside of this div. And then I will make sure I align them side by side. So let's see how to make that work. Okay, so I think float explained how that can work for us. So I will use flow. I will try to use float to achieve that. Right? So float right, float left, and then clear, no clear, etc. Right? So let's try this out. So I'm going to call the first div container. So I'm going to give it an ID of container. So it's going to serve like a container for us. And then I go to the style.css or about us.css and try to style this container. So this, like I told you, if it is an ID, you use the hashtag. And then I say container. Good. And then I'll give you a width of 100%. And then a height of 80%. So I don't want this to take 100%, or a height of 500 px. Right? So this is currently there. It's just that you can't see it. And then what will happen is I'm going to give it a border. So let's say border. And then let's say 2px solid. Let's say white. Give it a padding or a margin, which is the space outside, a margin of 10px. So let's see what this looks like. Nice. Oh, okay. I think I've gone overboard because this is supposed to show here properly. So what do I do now? So okay. It's not supposed to be a width of 100%. So let's give it a width of auto and see. Nice. So auto works. I like this. So it's giving us like the exact size from here to here. And then I have two different boxes here. And then I will try to use floats and clear to arrange the items in these boxes side by side. So one of them is going to have like a bunch of explanation about what we do. And then the other one is just going to have like a picture about us at FiTech community. So what picture do we use now? We don't have like a group picture together, right? Should I look for my picture? That will be biased, but no problem. Awesome. So we have two divs inside this container, and then each of these divs, I'm going to give them two different IDs. So this one is going to be an ID of floats, and then this one is going to be an ID of let's say clear, so that we understand how both of them work, right? So in this one, I'm going to have a H4 that says let's talk about us. All right. And then I'm going to have a paragraph that has like a bunch of text. So because I don't have the energy to write like a lot of text right now, I'll just use lorem ipsum to generate plenty. So I can just say maybe lorem 200 and then click on tab, and then it generates up to like 200 words for me, dummy characters. So if you go to some websites, you tend to see lorem ipsum, like this is how they make it work, right? They are just a bunch of dummy characters. And then when you are done with building the main thing, you can write the main contents that you want to put in there. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so we have like the first part. And then I want to give a padding too to this container so that there's going to be space within it. So in the same container, I'm going to say padding. So padding on all angles, and then padding should be 5px. And then when I go back, I can see my padding. So okay, there's a little bit of space here. There's a little bit of space here. I can increase it if I like, because that looks too small. So let's say 10px. Awesome. So we can see a lot of space, right? So the first container that has floats, so floats, yo, somebody asked me something. So let's give it a width of 50%. And then, yo, who's talking? Yeah. Yeah, Rufai, let me hear you.
Sorry that I'm being inquisitive. I think why is you said you mentioned something about lorem ipsum or something like that just
Yeah.
now. Like I noticed the language there is not English, and
Yeah, it's
you
not
said
English.
okay, and you set this thing while writing the code on the index this thing the HTML, you set it to EN, which indicate that that's English language. So why is he bringing another language?
So lorem ipsum just generates like bunch of dummy characters for you, right? I don't even think lorem ipsum is any language at all. It's just a bunch of different characters just to fill out like the dummy text.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So and then that en that we specified at the top, it just specifically means like the default of this website is going to be in English. So most of the content, even though somebody is accessing it from another different part of the world, the contents of the website are going to come in English for him. So there are different ways to do that, to change your translation and the rest. You learn how to do that subsequently, right?
Sorry,
So for
lorem
now,
ipsum. Sorry, lorem ipsum is a language. You can translate it.
oh, okay. So nice. So I'm learning
Yeah.
a lot today. So what language is lorem ipsum, please?
I don't really know, but you can translate it.
Okay. So let's
Yeah.
try to translate it, right? So, but for now, it doesn't mean anything. So it's just like a bunch of dummy text just to fill out the place, right? Awesome. So you see, I've learned something from you guys today. Lorem ipsum is a language. So let's fix this now. So we gave it a width of 50%, and then let's give it a float of now. Let's give it a float of right and see where it's going to go. Nice. So can you see it's back to the right hand side, right? Which other one can we give it? So let me check this to see the different things we can give it and see what it looks like, right? So we can give it left, right, none, and inherit. So we have given it left, I've given it right, So if we give it left to go back to its default location, as you can see, if we give it none, what will happen? It still maintains this thing. But if we give it inherit, what is it going to be? Now I need your answers. I need your inputs here.
It's going to inherit the parent element.
So what is the parent element? What is the current float property of the parent element?
Is default. The parent element is default. That is
So
from the left.
awesome,
From
awesome. Yeah. So we are together. So let's give it, let's see. So let's say inherit. Since the parent doesn't have any float, the parent still is going to be at default. So it's going to maintain the same location where it was before. Are we together? Nice. So now back to the next element. So about us. And then now I want to edit this clear. So in this clear, I want to put an image in it. And then the source of this image is going to be a link to the FiTech community logo, which I have here. So I can just copy this here and then make it the source of the image. Awesome. And then I told you auth. So let's see. Okay, so this doesn't have any position of clear yet. So probably that's why we have this like this. And then remember, they are block level elements. It's a div. So this one is one div. This one is another div. So two of them are going to be stacked on top of each other. They are not inline elements. So there are different ways we can do this to fix it. So let's try to use clear and see how this will work. So what does clear says? So when you use clear property, we want the next element below or not on right or left. We'll use this. So clear. So when we use clear, let's make it clear maybe right. Okay, float left, float left. All right, so let's try to fix this. So I don't know which of the elements best we are going to use, so let's try this out. So in the clear, they were in about us. So let's do hashtag clear. And then let's say clear right. So let's try this. Oops, nothing happened. Clear left. Oh, nothing is happening. So let's try both. Still the same way that we left it.
I think the element is overflowing from. So I think we would use an overflow if it's necessary for us to bring it back within the container. That's why it is overlapping, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay, so overflow what now? Let's try to fix this. So let's say overflow auto. Oops. Or let's fix a size, right? You can just give it a width and it should be 50% too. Right? Nope. So let's read this documentation properly and then know how we can fix this. So when we use the float property, we want the next element below, not on the right or left. We will have to use the clear property. The clear property specifies what should happen with the element that is next to a floating element. The clear property can have one of the following. None, the element is not pushed below left or left floated element. This is default. Left, the element is pushed below left floated elements. Right, the element is pushed below right floated elements. And then let's see. So if the floated element is taller than the containing element, it will overflow outside of its container. You can then add a clear fix to hack to solve the problem. Okay, so clear fix. So this is with clear fix. So let's say overflow auto. So clear fix, where is the clear fix container? All right. So I think it goes back to this. All right, so we have no overflow, right? Everything is within the elements now, right? So let's try to fix this to see how we can have it on both sides. So we also add clear fix after, and then we can say both clear, or let's try this out and see. So you will learn more about outside pseudo elements. Okay, so oh my God. So let's try the clear. Or container after. And then what do we set? We set clear to both. So let's have a look. So this is not yet fixed. Display table. Let's try this out. Not yet fixed. Nope. There has to be a workaround for this. So clear fix. So let's check float examples. But I think I know a workaround that we can use for this. So let me just try this out. Okay, so this tool doesn't fix it.
Let us use display flex and set the value as flex.
Yeah, so we're actually not on Flexbox yet, because with Flexbox, this is very, very easy, right? But we are still using float, so we have to find a way to make this work with float. Now let's see where the problem is. Let's try to give this tool a background color and see something. So let's say this white, and then let's say background color, let's say this is red. Okay, so these two are taking 50-50%, and then this is red, this is white. So what's happening? Actually, if we give this a display flex, it's going to work exactly how we want it to do. Right? You are very correct. If we give this, it's going to work exactly how we want it to be. So we want it to display this way side by side, but this is not entirely what we want to achieve. We want to achieve this using floats. We don't want to achieve this using flex.
Then let's use float, then set the value to left. But we are going to specify that in the container.
Wait. Yeah, I think you have a smart move there. So let's try. Awesome. Put your hands together for this guy. I can't hear the clap. Nice. Who answered that? Can I see your hands? Awesome. Okay, Olua. Good job, good job, good job. So your troubleshooting skills is getting better, right? So I like that. I like the fact that you guys are familiar with properties and you are open to learning new properties and trying them multiple times, right? So it's open. So this worked. So let's try to take out all these colors and then fix it properly, right? Good. So when you want to arrange your CSS properly and then you feel something is not working, give it a background color or give it a border so that you can see where everything is being aligned to. So we have the image on one side and then we have our bunch of text on the other side. So we can write much about us. So let's try to edit this image. So there's one more thing I wish to highlight before we go. It's about our selectors, CSS selectors. So let me show you this example. So let's go back to CSS selectors. And then the other day we only talked about simple selectors. We didn't talk about combinator, pseudo, and the rest, right? So let's scroll down. So I think what I want to show you guys is from combinator. Good. So combinator elements is used to select elements based on their relationship, right? So it's used to select elements based on their relationship, whereby I can choose, like I told you guys, their parents and their child elements. So the best explanation I want to explain for you now in this about us is that I want to style this image that is inside of this div of ID clear. So I don't have to give this image an ID or give it anything. I can reference these images directly from Clear using CSS. How do I do that? If I go to About Us, I can just say hashtag Clear. And then I want to specify that this element is a child inside of Clear. I'll just use this, the greater than sign, and then I'll use image to specify that it is the image inside of Clear that I want to edit. So I can just say width of 100% and height of 100%. So you see, I have this. It's taking 100% size of both ends, right? So do we understand? So I wanted to select this image, and then this image lives inside of Clear. So that's why I'm using this greater sign to tell CSS that, hey, the element I want to edit is inside of Clear, and then it is an image. So any image that is inside of Clear, give it this style that I just specified currently. Are we together? Hello.
Yes, sir. We have it too.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So there are also other things we can do to this in this text. So as you can see, this text is jam-packed. So we can give it a size and the rest. We can give it space between etc. So what will happen is let's just go back to the CSS property and see how to style our text much more better, right? So text. Nice. So we can give it a color, a background color. So we can align it much more better. So this is for the text align that I explained the last time. We can decorate this text. This is the style text. You know, there are some certain images that you see them with maybe a different color. They might have like a linear gradient inside of it. So that's how to do that. So I think I want to work with the text spacing. So not just text spacing. This is to index the text, and then this is to arrange the letter spacing, the line height, the word spacing, etc. So let's try to do this, and then so letter spacing. Let's do the letter spacing and make it 5px. So the letter spacing will fix the spacing we have between here. So let's go back, and then this time around, the element I want to edit is inside of floats. So I'll still use this combinator. And then I would say, so floats, and then I would say the paragraph inside of floats. That's what I want to edit. Then I will give it letter spacing of 5px. So let's do 5px and see what it looks like. So can you see how each of these letters is being separated with each other? But that's not what we want, because reading has become a problem now. So we can just say maybe like 2px, if that will work. Now much more better, right? Yeah, it's much more better. So but still some people won't enjoy reading this. So let's just make it 1. Awesome. Awesome. So what next about text? So line height, we can check the height of the line, then fix it properly, and then word spacing. So this letter is the space in between each of these letters. So he added the spacing between these letters, but if we want to give a bigger space between the words, we can just use word spacing. So I just come back here, and then I say word spacing, and then I tell it 5px. So in between each word, I want you to give space of 5px. Can you see how the space increase? I can say 10px or 15, and then you have much more space. So it depends how you like want to put your text, or how you want your user to be able to see it, or what you want it to look like at the end of the day. But this is just a little about using floats, using text, and then you can be able to achieve a better view for our web page, and also to give it a better layout. So after float, we are going to go into more deeper layouts. I would love us to explore Flexbox, but I don't think today is the best day for Flexbox. So let's do Flexbox and Grid for next week, and then for Thursday. Then next week fully we are going to start Tailwind CSS and SAS. So let's just do Flexbox. So most of your assignments for this week is going to be you implementing floats, because if you know how to use floats much more better, you will know how to use the rest, right? And then we do a little bit of CSS animation after Flexbox, so that we can see how we can use CSS to animate our files, and then add some effect to it, maybe hover effect, etc. A lot of things that we can do, right? So this time I'll just give room for questions. If you have any, just shoot me. I'm ready to be short. Yeah, Mujidat. It's like you're the only one enjoying this class. All right, Jetro, let's hear from you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Sir, while studying, I saw that there are other units of measurements like M's and REMs, and mostly in this class we use percentages and pixel. So I
Pixels,
don't know, yeah. So if you can just briefly enlighten us about those other units of measurements, please.
Yeah, so like I told you guys, I would love you guys to go deep and then do the study yourself. So nothing beats trying it out yourself, right? So I will leave M's and REM to you guys, so you go and try it out yourself. But it's nothing different, right, from the size that from all the sizes we are giving. PX is just what I prefer to use. You can also use CM and percentages. Why? Because I understood the concept of using percentages and PX much more better. It helps me align and outline my pages much more better. Other people know how to use REM and M together. So I would advise you try it out. You can just create your own website. So instead of using PX, You use M's, rems, and then just try a lot of bunch of stuff. Right? Hope that's fine. Awesome.
Yes,
Although somebody really wants me to explain this, because I won't. I want you guys to go extra mile. I can't tell you everything, right? And then no matter what I tell you, I will also advise you go back and read, because nothing beats reading. When you read, you understand more. And then this time around, it's not going to be, this is what my teacher said, or this is what my mentor said. It's going to be, this is what I learned, this is what I read. So when it's time for implementation, you implement based on your knowledge. You must not necessarily use my concept. Like I told you, in programming, for every single thing you see, there is like 100 ways to do it. So it's not only one path that you can follow. You can choose to go with yours. But the only way that you can have your path is that you start learning from mine, you try out mine, then you go in and start reading in depth. And then after reading in depth, you are going to discover your own method of doing your things yourself and doing your things your way, right? So very soon I'll be leaving you guys, less than 40 minutes. So let's continue, right? So we have done the about us page. So it's as ugly as can look. So I just want to fix this. I don't want to give this image a height of 100%. I want to give it a height of auto. So let's see. All right, so auto. Okay, auto will fill it up. So okay, since the whole page is, so now what's going to happen is that I want this image to take the size of the container. So let's try to inherit it. Oh, it's taking more. That's serious. So let's say the height of the container is 500 px. So that should work. But then there's a little bit of shake here to show you that it didn't work. So what is going to happen now is inside of clear, I'm going to inherit the size. Since I gave this container a width, a height of 500 px, and then clear is inside of container, so I can just give clear a height of inherit, and then I'll also give this a height of inherit. Good. I'm turning into a bad guy in this CSS, right? Because I didn't know I had these magical skills. So what happened here is that container is like the grandparent to image. So I inherited, so container, clear is inside of container, right? So container is the parent of clear. So I inherited the height of clear inside of container. I inherited the height of container. Since container is 500 px, I inherited the height into clear. And then lastly, in image, since image is inside of clear, I also inherited the height of image, of clear in image. So that it's going to take this exact height that we have here to avoid any flow. So can you see how everything turned out to look now? Much more better and prettier. So let's arrange this image. Maybe clear. Let's say other radius of, let's say, 10%. So just to look a little bit round. Does this look fine? No. But I'll just leave it this way, right? So you can decide to fix yours properly. So we are almost there. So we have about us, we can go back home, and then we have this beautiful form here where we can fill out. Then we can choose to click here and come back here, right? And also go back home. So questions for me? None. I know you guys don't have. But let me check the chat. Okay, so what next are we moving to? So we were at floats, right? And then we can also check inline block. Nice. So let's see how this works. And I think with this, we can be able to build like a nav bar. So let's have a nav bar that looks better. So the display inline block value compared to display inline, the major difference is that display inline block allows to set a width and height on the elements. Also with display inline block, the top and the bottom margins are respected, but with display inline, they are not. So compared to display block, the major difference is that display inline block does not add a line break after the elements. So the elements can sit next to others. Awesome. So I told you there are different elements. There are different type of elements, inline and block elements, right? But with this display property, you can choose to do like an inline block. That's put the two in one, right? And that's like the simple explanation that it's giving us here. So using inline block to create navigation links, we can use this to create maybe a navigation, the nav bar, and then so let's try this aligning stuff. So okay, so I think images, we can choose to align images to the center using this, like I told you. So we can fix this image properly if we wanted to make it better. So instead of a width of 100%, we can just give it a width of 40% or 50%, so that it takes half of this. And then if I click, go to About Us, can you see how this image looks like? But instead, let me give it like 75 so that it looks better. So this looks better, right? And then I can just say, since the whole body is 100, I can just say margin of auto. And then this should take the image to the middle, but it didn't. So this is simply because clear is it because clear is 50%? Nope. So let's see how they did it here. So they say margin left auto, margin right auto. But it's the same thing as saying margin auto. Yep. All right, but never mind. Okay.
Now, let's do on the channel that's going to pay because it's only that we didn't pay this.
All right, so wow, we have actually gone like quite far.
Okay.
Will today be the best day to introduce flex? No. I don't. I want you guys to work with floats first, right? Or should we introduce flex? Should we introduce flex? No. So let's use floats to make this better. So this time around, I'm going to create like a multi-website. I'll call this. So let me add another new link and say this is my website. So I just want to make this better so that we can arrange all these things properly and make them look like a real website, right? This is what I want us to do before Divine comes to take over. So let's create a new file and then say websites.html. So I want you guys to do less of reading and more of doing, right? So while you are reading, make sure you practice. At the end of the day, that's what's important. So I just do. Okay. So this is just to see. So so I can also choose to make this image a logo. Sorry, a link. Remember, I explained this the last time. So let's fix that. And then when you click on Vitec logo, it's going to take us to directly to website. So I can just click href, and then I copy relative parts here. Then I go to index, and then I place this. Nice. So this image now is going to be a logo. So if I click go back to home, and then I click this image, it's going to take me to index page. Good. So this website is plain as possible, but I want to structure this to look like a basic simple website. So let's make it look prettier. So what is going to happen now is that I want to just to go over what we've learned. Let's try to maybe replicate the Facebook page, the Facebook landing page. Oops, I don't like this. Yeah, but it's not bad. So I don't want to work with this login. Will take me back to Facebook. Okay. I think it's choosing that we must design this page. Okay. But with what we've learned, we have already done this, right? So I think this is not going to be like much of a challenge. So why are we doing this? Why are we? Okay, but then just to replicate how these different things can look like, let's fix the layout. So if I'm a software developer, or as a software developer, as a web developer, or as a front-end developer, I'm given a page like this by the UI UX designer, and then I just got a job at Facebook, and then he gave me a UI like this to design, and then this is how it looks on Figma. How am I going to attach this? So first and foremost, I'm going to look at the whole container, and then I know that, okay, this is 100% view of the container. And then this container is divided into two, which is this one that has this gray part, and then this one that has this white part, that is the footer. And then inside of this one, we have Facebook, we have this one, and then we have this one here. So let's try to do the layout and then see how it's going to start coming up. So I won't write anything inside of this. So I'll go to website and then take it out. Good. So the whole body. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to create a div, and then I will give it an ID of container. Right? And then inside of this div, because I know that now this div that stands for container, this is the div. This is the div that takes this whole size of the website. So the next div I'm going to create another div inside, and I'll call it ID of, let's say, container. Let's call it main, because it's like the main stuff, right? And then let's do another div and call it ID of let's say container footer, just to stand for like the two different stuff that we are talking about. So let's create a new CSS file and say maybe like websites.css, and then try to link this up from the HTML. So we're already familiar with all this stuff, right? And then like If I said, we can just say website.css, and then no need of copying the relative parts. So let's style these three. So if I go to website.css and then I say, what do I want to style? Okay, so what's going to happen is that let me split this into two. So this is the HTML and then this is the CSS, so that we can just be seeing the two things we are doing. So you see, that's why VS Code is sweet, right? So you can see your work. So the first one is container. So let's type container first, and then I say hashtag container. Oh my God. Container. And then I will give it a width of 100% because I want it to take the whole width. And then I will give it a height of 100 VH. So there's another thing called VH. VH stands for view height. So the view height is the total height from here to here. It is the maximum height that a user can be able to see within a web page. So the distance from here to here is regarded as the view height. So from this starting to this end is regarded as 100 view height. If I give my container a 100 view height, it's going to take like the whole space and then a width of 100%. And then if I give my container a view height of 50, it's going to stop like here. It's going to stop like half of the page because like the view height is complete view height is 100. So I've given it, I've styled the container. And then the next thing now is that I want to style, what am I doing? I want to style container main. So container main is like the main place where the form is going to be, right? So remember, I've given this a wide width of 100, and then I will still give container a width of 100%. Or I don't have to, I will just say inherit so that it will inherit the main one. But this time around, I want the height to be different, so I don't want it to inherit the height. So what will happen is, since this height is 100 VH, I will just pick to give this. This is taking like 80% of the page. So let me give this a height of 80%. Nice. And then I will give it a background color of gray. I think Facebook is gray, but then I have to pick the type of gray I want so that it will make it very, very dark. So maybe a light gray color. Okay, let's try this out. So nice. So can you see how our website is looking like? Right? So it's looking a little bit like Facebook, the way it has this, and but this is not same gray color. Ours is a bit darker. So let's try to compare. Now let's make it lighter and see. Okay. Let's make this lighter. All right. Okay, a little bit darker. We can't get like the whole writing, right? But if we inspect the page, we can see it properly. So this is already looking a little bit like the layout we have here. So can you see, I've already broken down this layout into two. And then you can be able to see that here. So I don't know why this is not taking like 100%. Okay. All right. So the last one is the footer, right? So I'll just say container. I'll just say container footer. Then I'll give it a width of inherit. So I'll inherit the width. But then I give it a height of 80%, 20%, since that's what's remaining. Right? So this is overflowing. I really don't know why. Probably it's because this container is not supposed to take that. So maybe let's give the body the height. So let's give the body the height of h, and then we tell this container to inherit it. Still shaking. Oh, nevertheless, we'll fix this subsequently. So let's do the styling properly. So I go back into the website, and then the first thing I want to put in here is a H tag. That's a H4. No, let's use H3. That says Facebook. So let's use a H3 that says Facebook. So I just come here and I type Facebook. So let's type this H3. So based on the other selector that we use, okay, so I can just be writing it from here. So I can just say this is inside of main. So I don't want to stress myself. And then I'll just paste this and tell CSS, hey, the H3 inside of main is what I want you to style. So I want you to give it a color. Now what's the Facebook color? I don't know. I will not get this exactly correct. Or let's just choose this blue and make it look like Facebook. Well, not exactly like Facebook, right? So this is it. Looks okay. So I think we should change this to a H2 or H1. Let's make it H1. So like it's gonna be big. And then we tell CSS to style the H1, right? And then we'll come back here and then we can see Facebook here, right? So we can choose to do the letter spacing to make this better. And then I will just say 4px, just to give it a bit of space like Facebook. Let's make this 2px. Better. And then I can just say text align, like the same thing we did the last time, center. And then we have the center here. Right? Okay. So is this looking like Facebook? No, it's not, because it's not the same color. But we'll just do it that way. And then we'll give this text a margin top, since Facebook has a height. So we'll just say margin top 10px so that it doesn't start exactly at the top. Then what's happening? Okay. So container main. All right, so let's just keep this out for now. We'll come back to fixing that. So the next thing is doing this. So what's this? This has an icon, and then it has a border with the text around it. So I will just come here and then I'll make this a div. And then, sorry, I'll give this an ID of what ID? Let's give it an ID of info. So I can also come here and tell it. So you see the use of this combinator sign here, right? It makes sense because when you are debugging your code or when you are inside your CSS, you already know how you highlight it properly. So I can just say, hey, that info. Now it is here and it is an ID. So I use hashtag. Is somebody raising their hands? Shoot, please. All right. So I want to style it. Yeah. What's up?
Okay.
How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Sorry.
Why is your voice echoing? What's happening? Tybats. Tabata, are you still with us? All right, guys. So I think we should just proceed before she gets back, because I have limited time here. So we'll just see how we can achieve the Facebook page to some extent. And then next time we'll use Flexbox to achieve the same page, so that we'll see how Flexbox makes things much more easier. So we'll just do this for now. Right? So now I want to style this info that is inside of here, and then remember this info has so first of all, let's give it a border. So let's say border 1 px solid blue. So let's see what this looks. Then inside of this info, we have like a p tag or a small that says. So where is it?
Hello?
All right. Yeah. I can't hear you. How about, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. How about me? Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry. I wanted to ask. The other time you were trying to use you wanted to use class instead of ID. You now said sorry. Is it possible for us to use class and ID together?
Can't hear you again. No.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, you wanted to use class the other time when you were designing, but you now said sorry and then now change it to ID because we're using ID. So I wanted to ask, is it to use ID and use class under the same thing?
Yes. Nice question, Tribal. Makes sense. So this particular element must not necessarily be an ID only. It can have an ID, it can also have a class. But like I explained the last time, if I want to style a particular element uniquely, I can use ID and then style it uniquely. But if I want to style an element as a group, that is, I have other elements that are going to look exactly like that same element. I can just style them in group using class, right? But the reason why I changed from class to ID is simply because the particular element I wanted to style is going to be unique. So others are not going to look like it. So like you said, you're correct. I can give it an ID, style it. I can also give it a class, style it also. It works 100%. So great observation. I like that. So I can just go back to check here for this to see what it looks like. Oh, and then this, you must log into Facebook. It's as ugly as trash. But let's try to limit this. So this looks like so I'm going to give this a width of 60%. Yeah. So what's going to happen now is this info, I will just go to info and then give it a width of 50% or 60. Yeah, 60% is fine. And then when I come back here, you can see, but then it's not in the middle. So to get it in the middle, I'll just say margin. I need to open. Let me see. It's right at the middle now. And then if I want to make this better, I think 60% is too much. So let's make it 50. And then I will just give it a padding of 2 px. So it's looking much like it, right? And then lastly, I'm gonna give it a color, sorry, a background color of white. Good. So One more thing is that I need an icon. I need an icon that looks exactly like this icon. That's this one. Well, I think it's even much for this. It's supposed to be like 40%. And then it has a 5px so that it looks much like Facebook. 5%, and then I will give this 40%. More of it. I like this. So let's look for an icon now. Now, where do we get icons? Do we know where we can get SVGs?
Font awesome.
Font awesome websites.
Oh, font awesome. Nice. So I don't even know how to use this font awesome. Okay, let's try. It's been a while. All right, so start for free, please. Then I want SVGs. Oh, no, I don't want to see your docs. So let's search, and then to enter your email to get started. I think I've done this before. So let's check it out. I know I've done this before. You guys just go to icons direct. All right, so which icon am I looking for? Let me search info. So that looks like an info icon. So let's see whether there's something around info. Okay. So let's pick this. It mustn't necessarily look like, okay, it has searched an info for us. Nice. So what did Facebook use? All these ones are for Chrome. Let's use this one. Good. So I can choose either HTML, React, or SVG. So this time around, I don't want to import fonts also. So I won't use this. If not, it will ask me to import it. So I'll just go direct and use the SVG. So this SVG will give me a direct embedding into my app, right? So where do I copy? It's supposed to be somewhere. Oh, let's do this the old way, man. So I just copy, and then I come into this info container where this text exists too, and then I paste this SVG in it, and then I save, and then let's try to have a look what our website looks like. Okay. So now let's try to style this SVG. So we can just give it a, wait, I think, can we style this? Yes. There's a way we usually style this. Okay, let me try this. So now look what I'll do now. I want to style the container. I want to style the SVG inside of info that is inside of container main. So I can just give this a width of 5px and a height of 5px. Now let's see whether this will work better. So let's fix this, and maybe let's make this 15px. Also much more better. But I think 20px will just be fine. Nice. Let's give this a color or a background color of blue. So it looks just like, okay, no. This is like an inbuilt color in it. Oh, so this is what I should have done. I should have selected this one. So I'll select this one instead. Because, okay. I know they update anything. So let's keep the color out of it. But this is just how to import an icon as an SVG, right? and then make it look like this. So I've aligned this, but then this will look a little bit ugly, but then we'll make it better in our next class using Flexbox, right? So the next thing I want to do now is that I've created the info and this. The next thing I want to do is create a form. So this is the form. And then what is inside of this form? So let's check out Facebook and see how their website looks like. So this is it. We have 1, 2. So first of all, in the form, I have, let's say, a H4 that says login to Facebook. And then next, I have a div. And this div is yellow color that has a small or a paragraph in it that says you must log in to continue. Right? So, and then I have these two input boxes. So I'm going to put them in two different divs because they are inline elements. But I want them to display as blocks. So I will just put this input that says text, an input text type that has a placeholder that says, which I say email address or phone number. So email address or phone number, right? And then the next input box says password, right? So this input box is of type password. So I didn't mention an input box of that password for you guys the last time. It's another input box whereby it's anything you are typing is not going to be visible, except probably you set it to be. So you go to some site whereby you enter your normal text or your email, but when it's time to type in your password, you don't see anything. Okay, now. Okay, so everything is here and it looks as ugly as it can be, right? Okay, so let's try to fix this, bring it to the middle, and then do some editing to it. So first and foremost, what I want to start is the form. So since we only have one form here, I'm going to call it form and then just start it. So first and foremost, I want to give it a width of, 30%. Yes. Width of 30, and then what? Background color of white. So let's see what it looks like now. Good, it's taking shape, right? Can say margin auto. I can say margin and make it auto so that it comes to the middle. So can you see we have this in the middle, and then to make this better, I can just say padding. Padding is not auto. Let's give padding 10px. Good, and then we have just like a little bit of space around it, and then we can then give it a space around, and there's a margin top. So that there can be a space, and then 10px. Let's see. Good. So you see there's a space between these two. So the next thing I want to style now is this H4 inside of this form. So to do this, I copy this form, I paste it, and then I'm telling it, hey, the element I want to start is the H4 inside of this form, right? And then I will say H4 should be text align center. And there you go. We have login to Facebook on the center. What color is it? It's black, but it has a letter spacing. So we can just give it a letter spacing of 4px and check out. Nope, this is too much. Let's just make this 2px. Right? All right. So what's the next thing? So the next thing is you must log into Facebook. So that is this div, right? So I want to start the form So this div, because there are different divs inside of here, if I highlight this form and I say div, it's going to give all the divs the same style. But this time I just want to give it an ID. And then info. So remember, so ID, form, info. So to style this, I can just say either copy the form and do this, or I can just say form info. So form info, and then I want to give it a border of 0.5 px. So yes, you can choose smaller px, bigger px's, and then I give it yellow. But then that yellow looks darker. So I just want to give it like a darker shade of this yellow. I'm not using like the exact colors, right? Now this one looks like gold. So let's just work with this. And then I'll give this a background color of yellow, so that it just looks like it, right? But it's exactly, it just to simulate this. So if I come back here, oh my God, this is very, very dark. All right, so let's look for a. Okay, so let's go on this better. Yeah, much more better. And then let's give it a padding of 4px. And then we'll say, so the small inside of it, we'll say this one case, and then we'll say small. We'll give it a text align of center. Okay, now it didn't align. Was that because small is an inline element or what? Now let's use this text align inside of this form info. Perfect. So can you see? So why is the border not showing? I think we solved this problem the last time. Who helped us out? I really can't remember. So it's simply because we did not say this is solid, right? So if we come back here, we tend to see the border a little bit, right? So let's also give this a margin. So let's say margin bottom, let's say 10px, so that it will just give it good. So much more better now. So gradually it's looking like Facebook, but an uglier version of Facebook, right? Well, at least it's looking like Facebook. Okay. So the next thing is to do this tool. So I can just style the div, and then I'll say form. So let's give this div an ID, a class, so that they all take the same styling. So a style of input box, and then this one too, we call it input box. So I can just continue styling this. All right. So let's style the input box. So let's just say this is a class. We use the full stop, and then call it input dash box. And then let's style it. So first and foremost, I want to give this a padding of 2px. This might not necessarily be it, but just to make it look better. And then I want to give it a margin of like 5px, so we can have space between the two. So we have like a little bit of space. And then I can style the inputs inside of this input box. Now watch out. I'm using one of these styles to style the two. So these two classes, I'm using one style to style the two of them. And there's an input box inside of this. There's an input inside of this input box class. So I can just highlight it and tell it, hey, the input box, the inputs inside of input box is what I want you to style. Right? Okay, let's try something. Now, how do we style input box? Can't seem to remember that. Can anyone help me out? Or is it the padding I'm going to use? Let's see. Oh, nice. So I did it. So it's a padding you use. And then I will just say width 100%. Oh, no, that's too much. And that means I have to reduce the padding. Okay. So I will say width of like 90. And then let me fix the padding and tell it to be 10px like before. Yeah, better, right? So so gradually this looking like a very good ugly version of Facebook. So the next thing now is to add an input, sorry, a button, right? So if I give a proper space between the two, and then this form, let's use a border radius for the form, so that it's going to be a little bit rounded. So border radius. So for the person that called border radius last time, good. So you see, it's a little bit rounded. And then I can just add a button here that says blocking. So if I go back and then I enter form, so let's say form, and then I'm styling the button inside of the form. And just do it this way. And then I'm going to tell it I want the padding to in the button to be, let's say 10px. And then the button should be blue color. So the background color of the button should be blue, right? So let's see what we have. Yeah, better. And then let's give the button a width of 40%. And then let's give it a margin of 02. So this should give us the button in the middle. Oh, we don't have the button in the middle yet. What's happened? Oh, that's because this form. Okay, the width of this form is 30%. And then I'm saying the button, the width is 40, but then the margin is 02. Okay, so what's the problem now that's causing this not to be in the middle? Well, first and foremost, let's check out how this look like. Okay, so the text here is white. So I can just give this a color of white. And then the font is bold. So you see font size, I can just give it bold. And then when I come here, I can see, right, it's not exactly bold.
Font weights are bold.
Okay, font width, yeah, font width, nice. So let's give a font width of bold. Awesome, much more better. And then let's say a border radius. Let's say a border radius of 5px, so that it just looks a little bit rounded like Facebook. And then, okay, so let's try to get this to the middle. So we use the margin, it didn't work. So let's use JT's method, like he said the last time, that's margin left. And then let's do the math. Since it's 40%, then we'll say margin left. And then we'll make this, since that's taking 40, we'll make this 30%, since we have 60 remaining. Or more, no grill. So what could be the problem? Let's try to troubleshoot. What could be the problem? Why this button this is not taking the exact margin that we want it to. What could be the problem? So form. Okay, I think I forgot to put the percentage. Yeah, so JT solution worked like last time. So you guys didn't debug this one for me, right? And then I'm not happy because I was expecting you guys to debug this with me. So I will just do one last thing and then allow you with Divine, because Divine is already here, and then I have to leave the call for another meeting that I have to attend in the next 9 minutes. So what's happening right now is just that I want to add a shadow to the login box, right? So you guys are going to do better than this. I don't want you to do Facebook. Probably we are going to replicate in the assignments another social media, maybe Twitter or, well, and Divine are going to choose which one is best. But I'm doing Facebook because Facebook is the easiest one. So just know that the one you're going to do is going to be very, very hard, right? So let's switch over to this. Yep. So I just want to show you guys shadow. I think there's supposed to be a box shadow so that we can just add the shadow to it. And then when I add the shadow, my work here is done. Good. So CSS shadows. So this is another property too. Now what's happening? Is this my network or my village people? So it's trying to load. Let these shadows just open. But there's a way to place shadows. I wanted us to read this before checking it out. So in the form itself, if you notice, look at how our form is looking bare minimum. But if you go to Facebook, can you see? It's looking as if it's a little bit on top and then there's shadow below it, right? So that's what I want us to replicate. Let's try to put the shadow. Okay, nice. So you can see how shadow work, right? So CSS shadow effect, you can put a shadow on a text. This is an example. You can put a shadow on a button, where if you come to a button, you can, when you hover over it, and then you can put a shadow on a card. So this time around, I want to put a shadow on a box or a card. So we're going to use the box shadow, not the text shadow this time around. So let's just roll down to the box shadow and see how it works. Okay, so box shadow is here. Okay, so this is how to do it. So let's try to fix this now. So let's say box shadow. So box shadow. It should be great. Let's see whether this is gonna work. Nice, but this doesn't look exactly like Facebook. Okay, so how do I do this? 5px, let's see. Yeah, so this looks a little bit better, but instead of 5px, if we make this 2px, it's gonna look a little bit much like Facebook. Yeah, somewhat like that, right? Just so that this is how shadows work, but it's not exactly what they have here. So we'll try to fix that probably in the next class or when I'm back. But for now, I think I have to call it a day, and then I'll be seeing you guys in the next class. So Divine will take over, and then in the next class, we will try to fix this properly using Flexbox, and then we'll try to achieve this same Facebook page So Divine, the floor is yours. Lucky.
Hello, everybody. Also, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can go ahead.